Welcome to the channel and welcome to a budget grocery haul and meal plan. So my husband is actually away for work for a week and I thought this would be a great time to inspire you guys with how I can feed one person for 1 week, 3 meals a day in a healthy and budget-friendly way. So in this episode, we're gonna head to the grocery store, we're gonna see what we can find, and we're gonna make a meal plan. And in the next video, I'm gonna cook all these recipes up. But before we head to the grocery store, what are the rules for this challenge? So what theme am I setting for this challenge? Well, I wanted to follow 3 very simple principles. 1, I want it to be really accessible. So I'm not going to use any fancy tools, or if I do, I'm going to show you very simple options of things that you most definitely have at home. As long as you have a stovetop and an oven, you will be able to cook all of the recipes that I'll be sharing in the next video. Secondly, I want this to be budget friendly. Grocery prices have gone through the roof here in Australia and around the world. So I wanted to show you what budget conscious options I could find that would be really inspiring. And third and finally, I wanted to make sure that it's healthy, because let's face it, yes, we can buy cheap things and filler type foods, but I wanted this to be really healthy and really inspiring and nutritious. As you might hear, my voice is a bit croaky. I've been crook for a few weeks, so as I overcome and get better again, I wanted to make sure that I have some really nice healthy food this week to help support my immune system and my general energy as well. So those are the 3 simple principles we're gonna follow. And finally, I am going to allow myself to use some very basic spices, oils, and pantry items. So things that most of you would have at home, including a normal spice cabinet. I may use some flour. I'm not gonna be baking bread or anything elaborate, but I will allow myself to use some of the basics from my place. And I'm also going to set myself the challenge that there will be no pasta. I know pasta is a really great thing when you're doing budget meals, but I wanted to see if I could avoid pasta and if I could avoid beans, which are both really cheap ingredients, and by all means cook them up if you like them. But I was going to challenge myself to not use them and see what else I could find. And the final thing is variety. When it comes to budget cooking, it can be really hard to get good variety. Obviously, if you make a giant batch of soup and eat that every day for a week, that would probably be pretty cheap, but it would also be pretty boring. So in this challenge, I'm only allowed to cook the same or have the same meal maximum 3 times. In most instances, I'm gonna aim for 2, but in some of the recipes, I will possibly stretch it to 3 meals. So with all that in mind, let's head to the grocery store. So it's the next day and we'll pick this right back up where we left off from yesterday. I have a bunch of groceries behind me here, but before I dive into that, I wanted to tackle 2 things. 1, I did have a high-level idea of some meals in mind. So I had kind of picked the proteins I was likely gonna pick up, and I'm gonna show you in a second what I got. But I was also open to changing my menu depending what was on special. So if you're trying to do budget grocery shopping, it's good to have a couple of ideas in the back of your head of what you're gonna use this for. And I know that I needed to basically get 21 meals. So breakfast, lunch, and dinner for 1 person for a whole week. So that's 21 meals. Like I said before, I don't want it to be too repetitive. So that was one of my goals. The second thing I wanted to talk about is knowing your prices. So I ended up going to Woolworths and I went to Aldi. Now there are some things that are cheap at Aldi, but some other things are actually cheaper than Woolworths. So you'll see most of my protein, about half of my protein came from Aldi and the other half came from Woolworths, because for example with the tuna that I ended up getting, it's almost $1 a can cheaper at Woolworths versus Aldi, whereas other things are the other way around. So knowing your prices per 100 grams, per kilos, per whatever is really, really useful, just to know that when you see something on special or they have those clearance stickers that they try to confuse you with, you will know what's a good deal. So with that said, let's dive into and have a look at high level what I'm cooking this week. And in the next video, I'm going to go through in detail and share with you what I cooked, how I felt, and how I enjoyed the week. So let's have a look at the food. So whether you're shopping for one person or 10 people, your proteins will usually be the more expensive thing you're dealing with. And I wanted to have a little bit of variety. So I got 4 different types of protein. I got this cottage cheese from Aldi. I was gonna get some shredded cheese, but I haven't had cottage cheese in a while, and this is a 500 gram container, so I'm pretty sure that this will keep me satisfied, and I'll show you some of the meals I'm gonna use it for. I also got some tuna. And this is the good thing about knowing your prices. This was almost $1 cheaper at Woolworths compared to Aldi. So not that that's going to break the bank. And in my case, both Aldi and Woolies are very close to each other. So I would not drive a half an hour to save $1 on tuna. But if I'm right there and I'm available to go and have a look at both, why not save a little bit of money? My favorite deal this week was this deal on turkey. So turkey mince, the cheapest I can usually find on clearance at Aldi is $4.79. This is $4.41. So I was pretty stoked with that. This is 500 grams and I wanted some kind of mince, so this came in the cheapest I could find. I'm pretty happy with that. It was short dated, so I threw it straight in the freezer when I got home last night. My other protein is eggs, and this might look a bit sad, like I'm only gonna have 5 eggs. I'm actually gonna have 12 eggs this week, but both my Woolies and my Aldi were completely out of eggs. There were no eggs to be found and I wanted 12. So I'm gonna duck to an Aldi tomorrow as I start this challenge, but I had 5 eggs in the fridge, so I'll be starting with these for some of my meal prepping, and I will be using 12 eggs in total, which I have accounted for in my total spend. Next up, I wanted some starches and I wanted to stay away from pasta. Not because I don't like pasta, but because pasta is such an easy go-to for budget food. So I was like, let's get creative and see what else we can get. So I got a loaf of bread at Aldi. This is a whole grain bread. I will not eat all of this in a week, I'm telling you right now. I know for a fact after this challenge is over, I will probably have about half of this loaf left. But this was the more economical by weight. So I think this was about $3 or something, so that wasn't too bad. I also opted for rice. Again, this is a lot cheaper at Woolworths compared to Aldi. I think it's $1 cheaper for the same amount. So I ended up getting this at Woolies. I also got some oats. Now, my husband is celiac and he's very sensitive, meaning even though technically oats aren't celiac, he can't have them. So I thought that I'd have some oats for breakfast this week. I don't normally do oatmeal. I kind of actually hate oatmeal. The texture just doesn't work for me. But I like chia puddings and stuff, so I thought I'd make some overnight oats with this for some of my breakfasts. This was from Aldi. It was much cheaper at Aldi. And finally, I wanted some potatoes. So this is for 2 quite large and 2 slightly smaller. And I have some ideas to use some of this for baked potatoes. These were just the loose weight from Aldi, so they weren't very expensive at all. So those are my main starches. All right, for the remaining items, I got some popping corn. This is from Woolworths, so I'm gonna do some popcorn for my snacks. I think it's super important, even in a budget grocery thing, to have some snacks accounted for, so I'm gonna do some popcorn. I also got some mandarins. These were actually also from Woolworths. They were cheaper there. I've opened the bag, but this basically allows me to get 2 mandarins a day. So they're going to be kind of snacks or to go with breakfasts maybe. I also got a whole kilo of carrots, which I'm not going to need for all the cooking. So I'll probably cut some of the carrots up to snack on as well. So that's my plan for snacks. The other things I got, this is all from Aldi. So I got some full cream milk, some taco seasoning. It's about 30 cents cheaper at Aldi. Got some diced tomatoes. I got 2 cans of corn. I normally buy the frozen corn, but I thought this was a bit more economical for what I'm doing this week. I got a pretty good deal on capsicum. So this whole bag was, I think, $4.50 or something from Aldi. And it's got 2 giant red ones and a smaller green one. So we'll be using that for our veg. Got a red onion, got some frozen spinach. This is such a cheap way to get a lot of really good iron in your food. And I didn't actually buy a whole head of lettuce. I have accounted for a whole head of lettuce in the budget, but I actually had this in my fridge and it needs to be used up. So I'm gonna be using what I had, but I have included the cost in the whole grocery haul. So that is everything that I bought. And now let's have a look at what I'm gonna do with it. All right, so what are we gonna cook up with all this food? By the way, I'm not at all worried that I'm gonna be able to eat healthy, tasty food for the whole week. And this is literally all the food that I'm cooking. So I'm gonna be doing 3 breakfasts with overnight oats of some description. I'll probably use my fruit to kind of top it and maybe a little bit of maple syrup or something from my pantry. And then I'm gonna do 2 omelette type breakfasts and 2 either fried or boiled eggs on toast. I really like eggs, I like bread, so I think that's gonna be really nice. I might do something with the cottage cheese. So that's 7 breakfasts taken care of. For lunch, we're gonna do some tuna salad. I'm gonna do tuna salad twice this week. Probably use some of the corn and a couple of other things. I'm gonna do a taco meat frittata because I'm gonna cook up most of that minced turkey with the taco seasoning. So I'll do some kind of a frittata oven bake thing with some eggs and that and some veggies. And then I'm gonna do 2 salads, which will probably be kind of like a boiled egg, some cottage cheese, some of that lettuce, capsicum, corn probably. And then I'm gonna do 1 taco bowl for lunch. And I'm gonna allow myself to do a taco bowl twice for dinner as well. So that'll be things like rice, corn. I'm gonna make like a homemade salsa. I'll show you all of that. And then I'm also gonna do a baked potato, probably twice actually, because I got those 2 bigger potatoes. So I'm gonna do 1 baked potato with tuna, cottage cheese, something like that, and 1 baked potato that has more of that taco meat flavor. Then I'm gonna try something I've never done before, which is corn fritters. I found a recipe for tuna corn fritters that I'm gonna try out, and I'll probably serve that with some veg on the side, maybe some salad, I'm not sure yet. And then I'm gonna attempt to make turkey burgers, realizing I don't have burger buns, but I have bread, so I might try to do some burger patties, and use a little bit of the onion and a couple of other things. So that is basically 21 meals with a repeat, to most of them twice max, a few of them 3 times. But I'm really looking forward to try this and just see how the week goes. And as I mentioned as well, I have accounted for snacks. So I'll be doing popcorn if I want a little treat. I might even make some popcorn ahead of time and bring with me a couple of times if I'm gonna be out. I will definitely be having my 2 mandarins a day to make sure that I get my fruit. And I will also cut up and prepare some carrot sticks. I could even have some carrot sticks with some of that cottage cheese, and cottage cheese, by the way, is a lot nicer if you season it. So I'll probably use a couple of different types of seasonings as well. But making sure that you have a couple of snacks that you actually enjoy having is really, really helpful for these kind of challenges. If you've made it this far in the video, please hit me up with a thumbs up and let me know in the comments below if you're going to be joining me and following along in this challenge. Now, I know you're curious as to how much I spent to set this challenge up. So I spent at Aldi $34.51, which does include the 12 count of eggs, which I will be picking up tomorrow morning when I go past an Aldi anyway. And at Woolies, I spent $14.26, which takes us to the grand total of, drum roll please, $48.77. I think it's pretty dang good to come in under 50 bucks of healthy, pretty much real proper ingredients in Australia at the moment. It is not cheap with groceries. I'm actually looking forward to the meals that I talked you through before and to eating this week. So we're gonna see what we can come up with and how enjoyable it is. Make sure that you are subscribed to the channel, because in the next video I'm going to be cooking up all these recipes and come back with a verdict of not only what was most enjoyable, but I will also let you know how much food I have left over after this week, because I can guarantee you I will have stuff that I can roll into a future planning week. I hope you have an amazing week, and I look forward to see you in the next video.